Get ready to record. This is going to be for Sreten tonight, a total episode for him. I'm going to ask him about his musical influences. It ain't all about me no more tonight, is it, Sreten? It's all about you tonight. How do you feel about that?
I am a local, Michael and I are local celebrities now.
That's right.
As co-owners of the Green Door Books and Studio.
Yeah.
And founder of Green Door Network.
What? What? Hold on. Musically meditated.
Welcome to 38, 39, 40,
I think
41.
it's 38. Whoa.
Last time I was on the show, I drank too much and the energy was a little low. Last week, you got to listen to Wallace and Joe talk about Danzig. Yeah, I'm sure that I got to keep up with that level of energy.
Well, we always have great energy. I don't know. I think you're being hard on yourself.
Maybe,
but you had a couple tequilas.
I had more than I thought I had. And I didn't realize until I listened to the episode, and I was like, holy shit, shut up.
That's what I'm always telling myself in my head when you start talking anyway.
That's most people. They're the first minute, they're like, he sounds kind of intelligent. And then you're like, oh my God, he's taken a fourth pass at that point. He keeps talking in circles. So I was gone for the week. I went on a little vacation. Beautiful Buffalo, New York, peaceful, quiet. I got off the internet. I got off everything, reset, slept. Because I've been talking shit about what's going to be happening at the Green Door. And now that I got back, it's on. So there's a lot of hard work to be done. You asked me about a particular thing I did, which was go to Dave Mathews Band concert.
I did.
And I told you it was awesome. And you're like, well, dude, I want you to talk about it.
That's right.
So here I am, Joe. And sorry for talking so much.
No, but that's good. But yeah, everybody, welcome to Musically Meditated Podcast. This is episode 38, and we're reversing it. It's always all about me, in my opinion, right? Kind of selfish. Almost
the host.
40. I know. But now we're gonna turn the tables, and it's gonna be all about Sreten tonight. And I think, well, actually, I know music starts from your background, family wise. So when you were growing up as a kid, like what kind of music were you jamming? I know you're Serbian, so was that a big thing in the household?
So I grew up. Yeah, we always had music growing up, but. I had the particular advantage of we listened to Serbian music for a while. And then but my parents both came from kind of communism. So even though they listened to music, they also didn't listen to any music. So you know how normally people, when they're cleaning or doing yard work or something, they're jamming out to something. It just makes everything easier. My folks didn't do that. If people were over, there was music in the background or something like that. If we had a party, if there's music. But as far as our house, if you're doing chores, you're doing chores.
Bummer.
So, but the thing was, that also meant that my parents didn't give a shit what I listened to. So as soon as I was, let's say middle school. Middle school, I met a friend, and that friend had an NWA tape. And that opened me up to gangster rap. That was my first real musical obsession. Before that, I was a nerdy kid. I don't hide behind it. I was nerdy before, now everything is nerdy. Now if you're really into spray painting graffiti on walls, you could be like, I'm a graffiti nerd, bro. No, you're not. You're kind of that's kind of anti-establishment, kind of cool. You're doing something illegal. Yeah. You're not a nerd.
You're not collecting your toenails or nothing.
I didn't. I didn't do that either.
Are you sure?
But I was a nerdy kid. I did math. I listened to my parents. I didn't revolt. Whatever. So I listened to a lot of, as you might expect, before the NWA, I listened to a lot of symphony music, but loud, passionate. I remember having the Fantasia tapes. Remember the Disney movie?
Yeah, I always like the scene with the demon. Because I'm dark like that.
Because you're dark like that, because you're metal.
I wear black on the outside because I'm black on the inside.
Yep. Is that a Morrissey lyric?
That's a Morrissey. I had to say something about Morrissey in this episode. But yeah, I know Fantasia.
Yeah, dude, so I was on top of NWA. I was always obsessed with music from movies because I loved movies and TV shows. So that's what I latched onto. If it was a good song from a movie, and as everybody that watches most of those songs are intense. So I talked about it before. I wasn't into nuance. I didn't latch on to punk either. There was something so unprofessional about punk like that when I was little, I didn't have like a music mentor, so I didn't latch on to punk because most of those guys, from what I knew, weren't good musicians. They didn't have great singing voices. They just did this thing to like revolt. This was their thing. We're gonna skate. We're gonna start a punk band, like that shit. I didn't latch onto it. What I did latch onto, like I said, was gangster rap because it was intense. I didn't want nuance. I didn't want to go in depth. I just wanted some dude to start cussing.
Yeah.
And get crazy. That's what I latched on.
It was dangerous, like back when you were, when we were kids, and you would see that, NWA imagery and whatnot, and coming from like a Caucasian background, it was like, man, your parents are like, what is that CD probably? And it just looked scary, and they were scary. So,
but I got away with it because my folks didn't give a shit.
Yeah, my parents were cool too about that.
And then they also didn't like. They didn't care if I listened to music with cuss words or the forbidden word or any of that stuff. They just didn't care. So I had, if the like car radio's on, whatever I want to listen to. And I was the oldest of 3 boys, so it was really.
So you were big brother. You were setting the you were setting the bar.
Yeah. So it was gangster rap, and then it was like B96 mixes.
I love those. I loved all those old school B96.
Yeah, I'd go to like the store and get the bulk tapes, and just sit there on the weekends and make my own mixtapes. That was my music.
Remember Yolanda? I like that song.
Ooh, Yolanda.
Dude, you got to put
the freestyle shit.
Yolanda. Yeah, like when that comes on at the bar, I'm like, I want to dance. I want to dance.
I love that
Yolanda
stuff. And then also, like, we would also, on the weekends, we'd go to, like, Serbian dances. That was on usually on Saturday nights. And that was live Serbian music for, like, 4 hours with 2 breaks with American music. And it was always freestyle. Because that was what was cool. B96, like all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yolanda, and then what's the Bapterita and the dance floor porn, shaking it all night long. Remember that shit?
I do.
Keeping up. What is it? Keeping up. Well, I'm gonna fuck it up. But yeah, that was me. I just mostly listened to the mainstream stuff until I like in high school. That's mostly what I listened to.
Well, backtrack. I don't know if you can remember the NWA album, but was it Straight Outta Compton?
It was the first one.
It was Straight Outta Compton then.
No. What's the
NWA and the Posse?
Homies with Attitude. Is that one of them?
No,
we replaced Homies with.
Yeah, but no. I mean, that's the name of the band, or Homies for Life.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm being a little stupid.
It
was the first one.
Was it?
It was the
Straight Outta Compton.
Yeah, it was Straight Outta Compton.
Because remember, I just did a couple episodes back.
It was. Yeah.
Homies for Life. Yeah, but okay, it was Straight Outta Compton.
It was. Yeah.
Yeah, because that came out in like 88, 89. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay.
And I don't know how I probably got my hands on it 2 years after that, maybe 90, 91.
Mm-hmm.
But I borrowed it from a friend. I played the shit out of it till I broke it and lost it. And then in high school I started. I actually expanded my musical horizons on my own. Like I still didn't talk about music with anybody. Like I did my own thing, and I joined that BMG shit, like that Columbia House stuff. And I just kind of picked cassettes that I thought looked cool.
You know what we gotta do? That one picture you had with you had the braids in.
Oh God!
That's what this episode picture is gonna be.
Is
like.
it?
Yeah, you gotta send me that because
my North Carolina shirt.
Yeah, everybody wore North Carolina in the '90s too. You know that baby blue that that white. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Do you know that story?
I had that starter jacket. No, let me hear about.
It was
that
like a
story.
junior year of high school. I was obsessed with Van Damme. Jean-Claude Van Damme. And Hard Target came out, and he had that fucking crazy gross mullet. And I was like, oh my God, he's the coolest dude in the world. Look at him.
You grew a mullet?
I grew a mullet because of Van Damme, but I have...
Did you have a girlfriend?
No. Of course I didn't. I remember a particular instance when, like, I just grew it out. And I can grow a lazy afro. That means that shit grows out, but it droops. Kind of like
that curly Serb fro.
Sideshow Bob from The Simpsons, like that lazy at the top.
Do you got to do that? Bring it back.
No, it's awful.
You got a killer hairline. Do it.
I let my hair grow out for nearly a year, and didn't braid it, didn't comb it, didn't do anything. Just let it get wild. This is before it was. I guess it's cool now to do that.
All right.
Not in that world, but I remember walking through the hallways of high school, and there was a chick that was one of the goth girls who was like always preaching, "Be yourself," whatever. And I walked past her, and I heard her like under her breath go, "Get a fucking haircut." and I was just like strutting around the hallways with my like dry Van Damme mullet. And so once it got to a certain point, I had my friend braid it. And it just wasn't long enough. So it was like half, it looked more like a Coolio braid than anything else. It wasn't long enough to...
It was a sloppy braid, but I remember when everybody was doing that in the mid-90s.
She braided it too tight, too.
Too tight?
Yeah, too tight.
But yeah, we got to get that picture.
Okay.
We have to. But yeah, so it started with NWA. You know, you were talking about the dances. When you did get into alternative rock, was there a particular band? Like, was there, like, you know, with the grunge scene, was there anything that stuck out?
That's
that you
what
really...
was weird. So when I was 16, Boyan, my brother, he's 7 years younger than me, so he was 9. And I would get these tapes, and he'd latch onto them. So he's about a 10-year-old kid listening to, like, Soundgarden and pretty much all these grunge bands that I got him the tapes for. And I didn't latch onto him, but he did.
Okay.
And that's how he developed his, like, musical tastes. It went from that, and then he kind of ventured off into, like, you know, hip-hop and
indie rock, yeah.
Indie rock, yeah. And he got really into that, where I went Pantera, I went White Zombie. Anything I just needed that intensity. I needed somebody to scream but sound good while they're screaming. I needed guitars, but I didn't have a mentor, so most of my stuff was mainstream or accidental finds. Like White Zombie, their first album wasn't super mainstream, but definitely the second one was.
Yeah, Astro
and he got
Creed.
a little like...
Well, that first one, I can't remember the name right now. I'll look it up, but it was like sex. It wasn't sex.
Yeah, it was sex something.
Something sexy.
Something sexy.
Something sexy. But that album, jamming with a bunch of people like throughout the years, like I have, that's one of those heavy metal albums that's like on the top.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I was obsessed. I was, sharing my tapes with everybody, and same with Pantera. Got crazy, and then I went through a little Primus thing.
Oh, that's a good thing to go through. It's not little.
I just went a little bit Primus. I had a job, and I got one. I think it was like their second album on tape, and I had a Walkman, and I used to work the Radisson, and I had a little stint as one of the washers, like that clean, gross ass sheets. Ooh. And I would just put the tape in, it would end, I'd flip it, put the tape in, it end just endlessly for weeks, and then I got
good music.
Sick of it.
Like Primus is good music to wash dirty sheets too.
It was great. The bass was great. I loved it.
Man.
Oh,
Les
man.
Claypool's definitely one of my idols as a bass player, like forever.
Oh, the other thing that drew me to different kinds of music to this day that still does it, which I like when you make the recommendations, because your hip hop tastes are, you also really like experimental stuff.
Yeah, alternative experimental.
Yeah,
hip-hop.
stuff that like you say is a hard pill to swallow. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you need a couple listens. There was something about
Primus.
His voice was silly to me. There's a silliness in some bands that drew me to him, like that, like kind of twangy hillbilly kind of, yeah. Like why don't I had a big old beaver?
Yeah,
like I like this.
Yeah, Les Claypool's definitely, he's his own dude. You could never have another Les Claypool, like talent wise on bass, but then he didn't give a shit. You could tell because it's not like he's like the best singer in the world, but he's just who he is.
Yeah, I dug it. I thought it was great.
Yeah,
but that I would flip around between like heavy metal stuff. And then that's when I got into I went through a really mini wu-tang phase, but I didn't like it. Like I didn't like it because, like I said, I don't like it was wu-tang is
they're very conscious hip hop.
It's not main like like I talked about it before. It sounds like you would think New York feels like dirty, not like super shiny, not clean, not how you talk about overproduced stuff. Like their production is awesome. Like the beats that every one of those songs
by the RZA,
are.
Yeah, it's grimy though.
It's grimy, yeah.
It's grimy.
And I didn't like it. It wasn't like clean enough for me.
The thing I didn't like I liked Wu when I was younger, but I couldn't really tap in 100%. When I say I'm like younger, like from 10 to 14, 15, their lyricism, like it was hard to keep up with.
It was.
Because they're that awesome, Like I really, really started getting into Wu like into high school, early college, but I mean, I remember it back then. I liked it, but it was just they're on like their own level.
Yeah.
They're all 5%ers from the 5% Nation. Like that's a whole different ideology that's from the streets. So when they're saying all these different 5%er references, it's like, you don't know what that is.
Right.
Like I had to look that up after a while, and it's pretty interesting.
And you did that.
And I did that,
yeah.
But when I was late high school, early college, like you can't do that when you're, I mean, I'm sure you could, but it's not like today with the internet. Like,
oh yeah,
how am I going to look up, Clarence, I think his name was Clarence X, like how am I going to look up him or Clarence the 13th, like the main guy that started the 5% Nation? Like, how am I going to really look that up when I'm 10 years old? Like with their rhymes, like it was just different. Right. But yeah, I agree with you. Very
that's
grimy.
The other thing about the nuance. Maybe I was turned off by Wu-Tang because it's complicated, and their lyricism was kind of layered, And then it was all the different guys and all that. Whereas I latched on, like I was a huge Ice Cube fan, who's a notoriously slow rapper.
Somewhat.
His stuff was awesome.
Yeah,
but it's slower and it's powerful. And I loved Ice-T. I loved Ice-T.
You still love Ice-T.
Still love Ice-T.
You bring him up. There's nothing wrong with that. He just did. What was it? It was on the West Coast.
His punk band did a thing. I think a song for the Grammys.
Yeah, Body Count. But they just did a live performance. I don't know what it was, but on the West Coast, like within the last 2 weeks, and I was watching some Instagram live feeds, and the crowd was just getting crazy.
Yeah,
it was getting crazy.
See, I always wondered amongst people that were actually like proper fans of punk. When he got into the punk, it turned me off. And then there was that whole cop killer controversy, whatever. Yeah. I was too young to have an opinion. And it was a big deal. And I was kind of turned off that he started doing punk. But going back to it and listening to some of those songs, as far as punk is concerned, it was pretty good.
It's amazing.
But I just don't know how other fans of punk thought of this shit that he was doing.
Oh,
Did they respect it?
Yeah, everybody respected it. I mean, it was a great crossover. It's Ice-T. He's the OG of hip hop, man. I mean, 6 a.m, police at my door. I mean, I
loved it.
I mean, he is the first gangster rapper. He was before NWA. I mean, it's the reality. Like, he was the West Coast gangster rapper. I mean, NWA took it a little bit more extreme into another level, but he couldn't have an NWA without an Ice-T. I mean, that's just the fact.
That was also my first like exposure. You know, I grew up in Maryville. You know, I was surrounded by black people, I guess, black students and whatever, but you're still high school kid. You're still middle school kids. You're not, and it's for the most part, like it's a safe, nice, and that was back when they redid the high school and they were, doing nice thing to the middle school. Yeah. So it was a nice, safe area to live in. I had no concept of like the south side of South Los Angeles or New
South
York.
Central.
South Central, yeah, idiot.
No, you're good.
But like, then I listen to Ice-T and he's talking poetically about this like awful stuff about the cops being crooked, about trying to live in a world where you're broke and you're dealing drugs and the hustle. And I was like, what is that? And like, it was something like it messed me up. It was fascinating. I was like, what is this world? I don't know anything about this. I'm gonna keep listening.
My first time with him was Colors. Colors. Remember the movie with Robert Duvall and Sean Penn?
Yeah, I remember.
And then Ice-T did that Colors.
Yeah.
The Colors
I like
song.
that. Yeah, the way they did the.
Yeah.
My brother just sent.
Dude, that's
did you listen to the clipping thing that Boyan sent?
The group clipping?
Yeah,
I love
a couple days ago.
Yeah, I love clipping.
To that new thing?
Yeah.
There was a song where it's layered. It's not layered like Colors thing, but he was layering like him cussing with some. It's almost like he wrote 3 verses. And like layered them all so that they flow together, and you hear stuff in the. It was really cool.
Yeah, awesome.
I can't remember the name of the song.
Awesome alternative hip hop band for sure.
It was
Clipping.
cool.
They're from Seattle, but let's transition into your love for Dave Matthews. When and where did this happen? And I like Dave. Hold on, let me get on my pedestal right quick.
Yeah.
I like Dave back in the day. When I say back in the day, in the 90s, I think maybe it was because everybody else did. I don't know, but I did appreciate his music. I stopped paying attention to him after Every Day, and I don't know why. It's not like that album sucked or anything, but I just kind of cut him off. So I'm 18 years. I think that came out in like 2000, so I have really no idea what's been going on with him in the past 20 years. I did like that Tim Reynolds double disc too. I thought that was really good. But how did you get into
that?
Dave?
Almost brought me back. So I graduated high school in '96. I went to Purdue, and I was an engineering student. So I was surrounded by, all I did was study. But I had some friends that would go to fraternity parties. They'd take me with. That was a time when Biggie, Tupac, and Dave, as far as my memory is concerned, house parties, you go to a regular ass apartment party, it's Biggie and Tupac. But fraternity parties would play the shit out of Dave. I hated it. I hated it.
That's. I'm going to cut you off for a second, but they are forever the frat boy theme music.
Unfortunately, and when you go to concerts, there's some of that.
Sorority, like from our era, like it's never going to stop. But go ahead.
No, you're right.
I'm being a dick, but whatever.
But that's what it was. But there was a period where I stopped listening to Biggie. Like I liked it, but they played the shit out of it, and I kind of got tired of it.
And he got killed.
But I got tired of it, and then he got killed, and Puffy started doing his thing, and with Mace, and that was like, whatever. To
Yeah.
each their own.
Yeah.
Like people like that stuff. It wasn't for me.
Pot got killed too, so then you went more towards the Dave
I went
thing?
more. No, I hated at that time. I hated the Dave thing, so I was away from it. And then one of my other brothers, a few years later, when Dave and Tim did the double disc, the acoustic set, I was like, holy shit, this is good. And that's when I started. I was big into what's their names, like Incubus and oh my gosh, Linkin Park. I was huge into Linkin Park, which is, I was like, I like mainstream heavy rock.
No, you like what you like.
Yeah, that's what I like.
Don't like what you like. But
And that was me.
No, but go ahead.
And that was before I
loved
started.
Incubus back in the day too.
But I was still listening to. But I was also listening to a lot of talk radio. So I listened to that stuff, and I'd have
That's where you
music.
got that sexy voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Open.
Yeah. Yeah, that Barry Manilow. Yeah.
Joe's always trying to outsmooth me.
I'm trying to outsmooth you. But go ahead.
No.
I'm cutting
But-
you off. I'm sorry.
No. Yeah. So I got away from it. I still had that, like, I just had such an attachment of the fraternity shit, which I hated everything about fraternities. I hated the whole idea of
Paying for friends?
paying for friends, getting your ass handed to you, and getting bullied for an entire year just so you could bully somebody in the next year and be like, oh, bro, it's part of the thing. No, it's not. I'll earn my friends. No, thank you.
I'm not going to pay for them. Yeah.
I just
don't
wasn't
like the
into it.
bro
Like I don't
culture.
want to. I don't want to rip on that. I know
Yeah.
some guys at fraternities are good
Same
guys,
here.
but
I got
I know a lot that are douches.
A lot of best friends that did
Yeah, that's their thing.
shit.
It's not for me.
Not me either.
But I associated the band with. That's what I associated with. So cut to, I don't know, pretty much like let's say 12 years ago, I started listening to more like Jason Summerhill type of music, like that. Like there's a band called State Radio that Boyan turned me on. That's when I started listening to like the roles reverse. So I started listening to shit Boyan listened to. So they're what do you call it? They're like a protest band sort of. State Radio. One of the band members is of speaking of Dave Matthews is this is what you get when you ask me to remember band names. But it's oh man, what are they called? Dispatch. You ever heard of Dispatch?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're kind of similar, right? Like kind of like that, like fraternity rock, like jam band, but not so much like Fish jamming.
Remember OAR was another one too back then?
OAR too. I couldn't stand OAR. I sort of like Dispatch, but when their lead singer Dispatch started State Radio, and they had they added a reggae influence, and they were mostly protest songs. I really love that shit.
A lot of people love Dispatch.
Yeah,
Still.
their new album is actually really fucking
Is it
catchy.
good?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Okay.
I'll send you a link. You might like it, you might not.
Hey, I'm open-minded.
Yeah, you are.
I
That's
am.
awesome.
I am.
So,
Like, I guess Dave's got a new album out, too. It's called Come Tomorrow or something, right?
yeah, not that.
Huh?
Nah. I wish
I'll
I was
review
more
it.
into it. Yeah, I wish I was more into it,
I'll
but I'm
do a
not.
review.
I like the one before it, and I think the one before that. So anyways, I got into that stuff, which sort of started my love for live music and instruments. I ended up getting a guitar, and I'm still a shitty guitar player, but, I started singing more in my car, singing with friends, like talking about music.
Will you sing right now for us?
Hee-hoo. That's my Michael Jackson. Rest in peace.
R.I.P.
R.I.P.
Jacko.
And his father, too.
Yeah, Big Joe. Rest in peace to Big Joe.
Yeah.
We lost some people. We'll get into that later. Joe definitely has some controversial. But he is from GI.
Yeah.
And we're close to GI, like right next door to GI.
Through that transition and different people, that's when I started. Then a couple, let's say 8 years ago-ish. Actually, it's more than that. I started dating the girl that I'm dating right now, and she's a huge Dave fan. And she was like, I
kind of liked her. I don't like her no more.
She
Shout out. Guys here today. What
and she
up?
was
Yeah.
so she's like, listen to this. Like, I love this shit. And I started listening, and like it also just happened to coincide with I started listening to a shitload of jazz, seeking it out in the city, anything live, except for some reason R&B. R and B.
R and B. I'm white, and I listen to
If
R
anybody,
and B.
if you didn't think I
Rhythm
was
and
white,
blues,
now you know.
and hip hop and the rappers. But go ahead. I like them rappers.
Same with blues. Like I would go downtown and I would hit up some of those blues clubs and stay out there till like 4 or 5 in the morning, and I loved it. As close as I could get, watch all those dudes play, go home, no sleep. Like I started to like that. And
a lot of 5-hour energies, or what were you up to?
no, I just liked it that much.
Right
Like
on.
I didn't even drink coffee back then. I barely drank. I didn't do anything. I was straight edge.
You were straight
Wallace
edge.
hates straight edge people. Shout out to Wallace.
Shout
He
out
gets
to
mad
Wallace.
if he finds out you're straight edge. He doesn't trust you.
There's nothing wrong with being straight edge, man. If you're trying to better yourself, I mean, No, that's a great thing. But go on.
Oh, I learned to like the booze.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been straight. Oh, I've been straight edge at like 90-day increments, but then it gets a little rough.
Yeah.
You know, no
But,
animals, no booze.
But I that's how I got into it. So then I got into the band, and then I went to a couple concerts. And if anybody knows me, and Joe knows me now, like we've known each other for almost a year, dude, I love anything having to do with some kumbaya shit, some hippie, like one love, positivity. Like if you walk up to me and I'm somewhere outside and I have 2 beers in my hand, I'm gonna give you one. Like if I have 2 sandwiches, I'm gonna give you one.
Or he's gonna give you a little kiss on the cheek.
I'll give you a kiss on the cheek, a little butt tap. If I shake your hand, I'm gonna rub your elbow with my free hand.
That's kind of weird.
Or your shoulder. It is weird, but that's me.
So did you do this? All right.
Did I do what?
Did you do all this weird hippie shit?
No.
At the day. All right, yeah. Let's transition. I'm jumping fast, but let's transition into your Dave experience this past weekend, okay? Because right quick.
Yeah.
He came out with a new album called Come Tomorrow. I haven't heard anything about it because I don't really keep up with what Dave's up to. No disrespect. Really quick, like I've been busting Sreten's balls for like the past how many episodes about Dave, and he's got a cult following. I respect what he does. Like I said, I stopped really keeping up with him after every day. I've been offered to go to so many concerts, and I will one day check out a Dave show. Like, I'm not that close-minded. I do want to check it out. The scene's really not my thing, but then again, I don't really know what it is. So I'm just being a dick, really, when it comes to it. But I do respect the fact that they're great musicians. Like, I'm not the biggest Beatles dude in the world, but I respect everything that the Beatles have done and how they've influenced so many people. And I used to mess around. Like, I used to really listen to Dave, so I'm into him. But break down your experience this past weekend with,
normally,
with the Dave show.
I've been to 15, 16 shows now. And it's always been, other than Farm Aid, which we went to 2 years ago, it was in Chicago, which is awesome because I got to knock off the checklist. Like, I got to see Willie Nelson, which, like, I got choked up and weird. He's a fucking legend. I got to see John Cougar Mellencamp, and I got to see not Neil Diamond, idiot. The grumpy old guy. Dang it. Whatever. I got to like knock a lot of those old timers, those dudes that are like over 70 and still doing concerts. I got to see them all, and they're all still awesome.
Okay.
So that was cool. But this is the closest we've ever gotten. Usually we get lawn seats and chill. You just put down a blanket, drink a couple beers. You're surrounded by wacky tobacco, and you just like, it's a good vibe. Everybody's nice for the most part. Everybody's just enjoying the music and chilling.
No fist fights at Dave Matthews concerts?
Not any that I've come across. I'm sure they're around.
A lot of bros there.
A lot of bros.
A lot of bros and babes.
A lot of hippie chick too. Hippie chicks, yeah. Drunk girls like rolling down the hill, can't stop. But yeah, for this one we kind of splurged and got super close. And the thing that I like is put aside the perception that he's like a fraternity band. I like the way he plays his music, and I like the fact that it's an ensemble band. Like, I love when they jam. So they just they got rid of their fiddle violin player and replaced him with like a keyboard guy. They got 2 guys playing brass instruments. They got a badass drummer. Bass player's good.
Is it the same bass player?
Same bass player. Everybody is pretty much the same guys. They added a few dudes, switched out they didn't replace like any of their original guys. They just, somebody leaves and they don't replace that instrument. They like added a new person, but just the energy, and I like the songs, and they're catchy, and I know them, and they're it's weird. They have a positive vibe, but when you listen to the lyrics, he talks a lot about death, a lot about like mortality. And so when if you listen with other people, you get into it. Like, but it is a bunch of people like drinking and smoking. And
I never actually like really. I mean, I probably did back in the day, but break down his lyrics and see, really what he's singing about. I always like going back to that double disc with Tim Reynolds. There was like this freestyle song, and he was just talking about this beautiful woman that he met on the streets of New York. Do you remember that one? That one had like a huge impact on me because I just thought it was like super cool, super clever, and he was just like talking about like how he fell in love with her on First Sight, but just for like 2 or 3 minutes, and then she was just gone forever because
I can't think of
I can't think of that. I'll look it up here in a second, but like just that, like I thought that was just like really clever, and it had a huge impact on me. And I remember I used to just like go back to that because I remember Tim Reynolds wasn't playing on that particular track. It was just Dave.
He would dabble in some of the albums, like come in and do a solo. Then they did that disc. He was always kind of like a background player or somebody when they weren't touring. They would do some concerts together. And then they brought him on, let's say, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago as like a full touring member with electric guitar.
So Reynolds is a part now?
Now he's a part of it. He's been, let's say, 5 or 6 years. He
really?
tours with them. Yeah.
I had no idea.
They didn't tour last year. But yeah, he was never a dude, and so they never had that electrical guitar. I'm so white.
Yeah.
But they didn't have that electric guitar, and now they do. Same with they didn't have a keyboard player, which sounds like that new keyboard player sounds more like what are the church pianos, like the big
organs.
He puts that organ sound on there too. So now they have a little bit of that, like almost like gospel sounding sound too, which adds a whole new element that I like. But any of that, dude, I love bands now. So it's not even that. What the band has also made me dabble in is like that. Vince, actually, from Pricks on Flicks, has been posting stuff on the Musically Meditative Facebook page about these New Orleans bands, like the jam bands, like the street bands. Like you would think, like, you know how you see the pictures sometimes from New Orleans of people just like marching down the street with brass instruments and the big drums and all that.
Yeah.
I love that sound too. And then they got the not the harmonica, but the accordion and all that. I love the accordion too, which comes from being Serbian. I also love big brass instruments.
I do too.
So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So all that together, just I'm into it. I never came from a musician's background, and listening to the thing that draws me is for some reason I'm connected to the people playing the music. It makes me want to actually learn how to play an instrument.
How was the stage performance with the band? Was it like electrifying? Was there a big screen so if you were far back, like you could see?
Yeah, they have double screens so you could see their faces. It's minimal, but it's well lit, so they have like a lot of flashing lights, and usually the flashing lights all follow the drummer.
Okay.
So whatever they're doing, it follows the drummer.
Yeah,
but
follows
whatever
the
he's
beats.
doing. And the band usually follows him. Like the bass player's doing his thing, and he's playing the whole time, but they follow the... they follow, like, Dave is not, like, he's a good guitarist, but he keeps shit, like, simple. Within the context of, like, other people doing crazy stuff. He's the rhythm guy. Yeah, he's the rhythm guitar guy. And then he lets everybody else shine. And as far as vocals, he is silly. Like, he's got that weird vocal style, but he's a hell of a singer, man. And they tour, like, I don't know if once they start, I don't think they have more than a 2 or 3 day break. And every night he's, like, demolishing his voice and keeps going. So
they're kind of like the new wave version of Grateful Dead. I work with this dude, and him and his wife, they go across the country to see Dave. And I asked him because there was quite a few people that were trolling me, and I don't know, asking if I wanted to go to this, but I was in Nashville myself, yeehaw, this past weekend, but a lot of people were asking, do I want to go, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, thanks, but no thanks. But the one guy that I work with, him and his wife, they travel around the country to see. And I guess it was there were 2 shows, right?
yeah,
Like one night, Friday or Saturday.
Usually, yeah.
And he's like, I go, how was it? He goes, Friday night, but second night, awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, cool. And I think he's gone at least like to 30 or 40 shows. But what I'm getting at is like there is that following.
Yeah.
So when people hear me shit on Dave when they listen to this, like we're gonna post this in Dave forums and stuff. Like, I need to get back into it because I get off. I don't know. I do get off, but I get off on like crazy shit and like sometimes like really really independent music and some screaming and hip hop and whatnot. But I do like to tone it down a notch and experience some Dave again. Like go back to the oldies and then try to check out some of the new stuff.
Yeah, you know what? I like all kinds of stuff. I'm never embarrassed of what I like. I really enjoy the band. I'm definitely not as obsessed as like other people are. Usually when anybody's obsessed with like a band too much, like we goof on Deftones and all that. But you're a huge Deftone guy. but you're also into a bunch of other shit. You're not like Deftones only. There's people that are just like Dave only or Grateful Dead only, but like or Fish only. Like that's all they listen to, and they got tattoos and all that other stuff, and it just to me it's too much. Like
it's too much. You can't grow as a person.
No, I like different things.
Yeah, you have to have different genre. I mean, to each their own. But
yeah, to each their own, man.
But you have to experiment with different music. You have to.
And I have, because there's so much stuff out there. I also have no problem saying I like something, and I also have no problem saying I don't like something.
Yeah.
'Cause if I don't like one or two things, I'm gonna like two other things.
Because you don't really like the Deftones, and you have to hear me talk about them.
Yeah, I'm not really into them.
Yeah.
But
Either
I can appreciate it
or it don't.
Yeah.
So I get it. I get it.
I like Morrissey.
You do?
I do like Morrissey.
I think I kind of brainwashed you.
No, I have always liked. I liked him. I goof on him. I find his.
Okay.
I was talking about that. The Morrissey fans, you might yell at me about it, but I find some of his lyrics incredibly cheesy, like the girlfriend in a coma lines, and
But that's sarcasm.
But I like it.
Yeah.
Like I make fun of it, but I like it.
Oh yeah.
I like it, and
He's witty. He's extremely witty with it.
I enjoy it, and it has its own place in rock history too. So there's that. If you got into it when it came out, or a few years later, or there's a certain part of your life where you got into Morrissey. See, we got to talk about Morrissey.
It always happens. Deftones and Morrissey always come up.
Yeah, dude.
We'll probably get some more hate mail because of this shit, but whatever. It always
we have
happens.
No about fucking Morrissey. Oh man, it's that thing we talk about all the time that you sometimes you latch onto an album and it's almost like time travel when you listen to it. So for me, Morrissey is time traveling. Same with The Cure. Like I'll listen to it. The Cure more so has like 4 or 5 different spots in my mind, like with my life, like in time. Morrissey has a specific like late 80s, early 90s world, and then a little bit like because I have like my brothers and some like a cousin that like love Morrissey. So that's my relationship to Morrissey. Like I get a good feeling when I listen to it because I think about those people and the places we've been to. And
I love how music does that, and I'm glad you brought that up. We're going to get away from the Maz right now and go back to David J. Matthews. And I'm going to go back to this acoustic album with him and Tim Reynolds. And looking at it right now, like looking at it online, it brings me back to a time. It came out in '99. It says here.
Uh-huh.
I remember I had a car. It was what year was it? It was a 1992 Toyota Corolla.
Oh, nice.
And back in the day, like if you couldn't afford a sound system, you would maybe put house speakers in your shit, and that's what I did. So I put house speakers in my car, in my little 92 Toyota Corolla, and it fried everything because I didn't have an amp. So since it fried everything, I could only listen to certain music because I didn't have any extra money or whatever. I just didn't give a shit to like fix all my speakers and all the wiring. So the only thing that I could play, because it wasn't crazy, was this double disc album by Dave Mathews and Tim Reynolds. And it really brings me back because I could only turn it so loud and it wouldn't sound crazy. But I'm looking through this. Like I remember always jamming Number 41.
Yeah.
Satellite for sure. Crash Into Me. What would you say? I wonder if that's the one I was talking about. Where
No, that's one of those like jam.
Is it a jam song?
Yeah, jam song.
Typical Situation I would always jam too. I'm just going through it real quick. Maybe it's Say Goodbye.
It might be.
Like, because it was...
I'm trying to... Maybe not. Why can't I think of it?
People that are listening, please let me know, like... Let me know that.
Definitely know the Dave, the real
that
Dave
song, because I just remember it's like he fell in love. It was such a perfect story, and how passionate he was about talking about it. Like, just like came across this girl and like like New York City or something, and there was something about her eyes and the way she looked, and he just fell in love, and she said goodbye, and that was it.
Yeah,
like a hardcore mini crush. Have you ever had one of those?
I've had 2 or 3.
Oh, 2 or 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hardcore mini crush?
I have a hardcore mini crush like
2 or 3 times a day.
Yeah.
Palea?
Especially in that produce aisle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you like tomatoes too?
Oh, do you?
Palea?
Don't eat that grapple. It's not GMO. Or it is GMO.
But eat this, it's GMO.
Eat this, it's GMO. But so, all right. What are you gonna rate this experience, this Dave experience? So you've been to like a shitload of shows. Where is this? Is it at the top? Is he getting better? Is he getting worse? Is it the same? What's up?
So I went with my girlfriend, and we had a fantastic time. But because they switched up the band, and she's a huge fan of certain band members, I don't think she had a good of a time. But it was one of my favorite. It might have been the best, like to me, the top one, just because I have learned to appreciate the different musicians and what they're doing, and to watch them now, like to see the gear they use, to see them switch out, to see the whole process of putting on a show. I love all of it. It's something I learned to appreciate in the last few years. And shit, like, I'm not a young dude, I'm not an old guy, but like it's something that I've really, really learned to appreciate. Everything they use. Like I see you see the mic stand with the picks stuck to the side in case they lose one. You see like spare amps and all the shit that like Tim Reynolds is kicking to put the different effects on his guitar. I love that stuff. The way that they dance while they play. I like so I had a really good time with it. There was one other like the Alpine Valley show. I had a really good time 2 years ago, but I was also very shit-faced. So I got mad. They played an encore and they played two-step. And I just like the way the song starts. Are people
dancing and shit?
Yeah, but it's that drunk girl dancing. Like even the dudes are doing that, like just back and forth, like just really minimal.
I'm just imagining a lot of pastel shorts the other night. A lot of men in pastel shorts, backwards caps of their college team.
Not as many as you think. I think back in the day there were.
I'm being so.
I answer you all serious.
I know.
No, Joe. Listen, this is what the wardrobe was like.
Yeah, right. Like,
I was wearing pastel shorts and a button-down short-sleeve shirt and a backwards Cubs hat.
Were you?
No.
Oh, I could see you doing that.
No, man, I was just wearing a t-shirt and shorts.
No guns in the sun? I'm sure it was a moist night.
It was a moist night. It was pouring, but we got tickets under the tent, so we were cool. It was great. Thank goodness.
You're balling like that. Money coming in the green door, all that green.
Yep.
All that green cash coming right in the green door.
Going straight into Dave Mathews.
Going right underneath the canopy.
But yeah, it was a really good experience. Yeah, the Alpine Valley thing. That's the dancing. It's that strutting. One step to the left, one step to the right. Real minimal, kind of like easy to make fun of. Like real easy to make fun of.
I think I was doing that this past weekend in Nashville. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, that's how they dance in Nashville.
I could do that. And it's weird because I could play the
two-step and you're doing that shit.
I could play the drums, but sometimes like with certain beats and dancing, like I'm more of like a, like you said, old school B96 dude or like hip hop. Like especially like when I play drums, it's always a hip hop beat. So I know how to dance to that, but you do that two-step country thing or like a little twang, I'm like I
want to learn it. I like it.
I got to get into it somehow. My mind, like I really have to like follow the beat a different way. So, all right, let's transition in a little hate mail.
We got hate mail?
We got hate mail. You ready?
Yeah, I'm always ready.
All right. So here we go. Hey, Joe, hipster bro flake.
What does that mean?
I don't know, but that's just what they called me, hipster bro flake. God, that's mean. All right, so, hey, Joe, hipster bro flake, stay woke. And please stop including all the other Green Door people and just focus on your own shit. What's wrong with that?
You're a team player. I don't know.
I'm a team player.
The hate mail's weird.
It is weird.
The pro mail is nice.
Well, we don't talk about that.
But the hate mail is weird.
Hey, we're just doing what we want to do.
That's not the first time I've heard that.
I know. I don't think they like the killer crossovers. And shout out to Juice Pro Wrestling.
Maybe because Wallace is always yelling at everybody.
But he knows his music too, so...
Oh, yeah, he really does.
They didn't call him a hipster bro flake, but they called me a hipster bro flake.
You need to scream into the microphone more randomly. And they'll
My name's Tro, a.k.a. the hipster bro flake. I don't know, man, but it's pretty mean. I'm kind of hurt. Not really.
Not really.
Sorry.
Thank you for writing.
Not sorry.
Thank you for the letters.
Yeah.
Always thank you.
Always.
Thank you for the Facebook interaction, too.
Yeah.
We had some good discussions. Good songs, too. I always pat myself on the back for the songs I add.
Yeah, you added some Sia. What else?
We talked about that a couple weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
Sia,
yeah, okay. What
Sia.
else? What else have you added?
It was Sia, the soundtrack to... actually, if you listen to episode 35's playlist, I actually got my hands on that one.
Yeah, it was extremely long, and I had to cut. I had to trim.
I'm sorry. 36.
36.
Only 12 songs.
Oh, okay.
You could add more if you can. Like this,
so
these are live lists, so we could add songs.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, I made episode 36, 12 songs.
Okay.
Tight. Very
nice
tight.
and tight.
Yeah, some NWA, some
Tight as a snare drum.
tighter.
Tighter than a snare drum.
Tighter than a snare drum.
But well, at least you weren't called the hipster bro flake.
No.
That doesn't really hurt my feelings.
I've been called an obvious white guy. R and B.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what that was. Like if
I'm just trying to use the input that I get, the hate mail that I get is that I have mush mouth, that I don't enunciate when I speak. So what I've been trying to practice is not popping my P's so hard, and also enunciate my words so you can understand what the hell I'm saying, which sounds unnatural, but that's why I said R and B. And I'm very embarrassed.
R and B.
R and B.
R and B.
Pastel shorts.
Pastel shorts. There might be a little bit of hate mail along with that. So we'll see
Bro
what
flake.
happens. Yeah, a little hipster bro flake here. That is just rude. You guys are just relentless. All right, here's a little bit more hate mail. There's more. There's a lot more. All right.
There's a lot more?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, just one more.
Okay.
One more.
Okay.
Hold on. I gotta read this real quick. All right. Sreten, stay woke. We know that you really enjoy Dave Matthews Band, and we hope that there isn't an episode about Dave Matthews Band. Damn it, we got one. Well, that's what you get.
Surprise, surprise.
All right.
That's great timing.
That was great timing. I had to
think
say
I know who wrote that.
I think I know who too. Like, so if you want to send hate mail and love mail, this is where you do it. You send it to musicallymeditated@gmail.com, or you could put it in the comments as well. All right. Like, we're checking the comments. We're not going to say your name, but we do know where you live. We will find out. We have our own.
It's really easy to find out.
What are they? Drones?
We have drones. We have lackeys. We have interns.
Interns.
Yeah, so many. Every day we have new lackeys. we have a woke army. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
We have an army of broflakes.
An army of broflakes that are currently woke as.
I mean, after this episode, we'll also have the Dave Nation. I don't know what it's called.
Hipster broflake. What is that?
Yeah,
It just must be this. I don't know. What's my most hipstery things? I don't know. Yeah, you guys tell me, all you haters.
Well, you're a well-dressed man. Maybe that's the issue.
I dress nice.
Yeah.
I dress nice. I dress sexy at times. Dress a
little more grimy and scumbaggy.
All right, I'll stop washing. How about that?
Yeah, no thanks.
All right. Yeah, I'll wash. I'll keep up with the washes. But, yeah, Sreten, thanks for sharing your experience, man.
Thanks for letting me, man. Thanks for letting me talk about it. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I know you goof on me, but
I do goof, and I'm gonna go back. Like, I'm really gonna revisit the early Dave, and I'll check out that new album, and I'll come back with a review. So everybody, please definitely check out Musically Meditated. It's on all podcast platforms. We are on Spotify now. We're everywhere. Just check us out. Please share it, and definitely the group page. Just share your music. We had another little controversial thing going on the group page. But
I like it.
Yeah.
They're good discussions.
But they're good discussions. This Is America video was claimed to be by Childish Gambino. A little plagiarism going on, a little beat biting. And I think they have a really solid case, the people that found it, and I put it up there, and we got some interaction. We got a little.
Yeah, I like the discussion.
Yeah, it was a good discussion. So, don't be scared. Put shit out there and share it. Share this podcast.
I have a question for you before we get to your meditate on this. Just to add a little flavor to the what's it called, the instead of the every episode playlist, we add whatever we talked about. We make a playlist. We won't make the fans suffer by making an all Dave playlist. Is there something this week that's kind of nutty or awesome? Like, I'm definitely going to add that clipping, a couple of songs from that clipping album that Boyan sent us, because I really dig it. I like it. I liked a lot of the songs. I gotta listen to it a couple more times.
I'm okay with your own Dave playlist. We can collaborate on that.
But do you have any other suggestions of the week?
I do. Converge actually dropped.
Ooh.
Yeah, Converge dropped his surprise EP, and it was all recordings from The Dusk in Us. I reviewed that. Shoo, quite some time ago. And shout out to Death Wish because they retweeted it, they liked it, and I believe it's episode 6. So we're talking a while ago, but don't be scared to go back and revisit.
Yeah.
It was a great album, one of my favorite albums of 2017. But, they put it in a nice little beautiful packaging and so on and so forth. And it's short and sweet and to the point, and I like it. So check it out. Check out the new Converge EP. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. Death Grips also dropped a new album. It's it's their really, to me, it's a bitter pill to swallow. It's very experimental, but I respect them for it, and I respect them for their art. But I'm going to have to give it quite a few more listens. And, I've showed you Death Grips in the past, and, it's just not your thing. It's difficult. So if this one's a little difficult for me, it'll probably be even more difficult for the more average listener. But, yeah, go check it out.
Yeah. What was I
They have a song called Flies, and it's all about, like, flies vomiting on people. But, just to give you a little background,
Yeah.
There's some really crazy videos. It's called The Year of the Snitch, Death Grips Year of the Snitch. Crazy ass album cover, like I don't know, but it's just a really hard one for me to digest right now, so I'm going to go back. But those are the two off the top of the dome.
Okay.
That I could really
Because of Wallace, I've been listening to a lot of wrestler theme songs. I might throw 1 or 2 of those in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What, on your playlist?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we could do that.
And then one of you guys might delete it. But yeah. But yeah, I was just wondering.
Yeah,
some songs of the week.
Songs of the week. Those are a couple. I'm trying to think of any hip hop that I've really been jamming. I can't think right now. I'm drawing a blank. But Death Grips is hip hop, but they're all over the place. But
I'm always jumping back to Run the Jewels.
Yeah. I just hope they try to do something a little bit different.
Yeah.
Something
Agreed.
different.
A little bit. Yeah, agreed.
Just, I don't know. But I love them. I'm not talking shit, but just a little something different. But this is what we're going to do. We're going to close out on this, and we call it the meditate on this section, right? So, you've been in situations where you thought you'd never make it out, but you did, and you lived through it. You've learned from it. You survived. So whatever it is that you're currently going through right now, you'll get through it. Just believe in yourself, Just do it. You'll get through it. Shit ain't that hard. I mean, shit is hard, but
just keep walking forward.
Just keep walking forward, moving forward. It's very cliche and very basic, but if you have that PMA and that positive mental attitude, you will be able to get through whatever dark times and some shit that you're going through. So let's do that. And we'll close on that note. We'll see you next week, y'all. Adios. I'm musically meditated.
That's right.
I'm musically meditated. That's right. I'm musically meditated.
Producer my ass over there.